I found out my husband's mistress didn't just sneak into my marriage, she was living in a house I owned. She had no idea that the woman she was betraying was also her landlord. And when I tell you the power that gave me, you won't believe how far I took it. I'm Elena, I'm 34 years old, and this is my story. For years, I thought my marriage was solid. My husband, Daniel, and I had been together for almost 10 years. We had our ups and downs, sure, but nothing that made me think he was straying. I worked hard, built a small business, and invested wisely. One of my investments was a rental property, a nice townhouse across town. I rented it out through a management company, so I never had direct contact with the tenants. To me, it was just an address that sent me monthly rent checks. But life has a cruel sense of humor. I was in my kitchen one morning when a friend sent me a picture that made my heart stop. It was Daniel, and he wasn't alone. He was at a cafe, leaning in way too close to a woman I didn't recognize. His hand rested on hers, and the way they looked at each other, it wasn't friendship. It was intimacy. I tried to brush it off, but once you see something like that, you can't unsee it. I started noticing the late nights at the office, the phone turned upside down, the quick showers as soon as he got home. I knew. My gut screamed it. My husband was cheating on me. The thing is, betrayal doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps in. First, it's shock. Then anger. Then humiliation. I couldn't stop asking myself, who is she? Why her? One evening, I decided to follow him. I felt ridiculous, like some movie cliché, but I needed proof. He drove to a quiet neighborhood, parked, and walked up to a townhouse. He kissed her at the door before going inside. My chest felt like it was caving in. I sat in my car shaking, tears blurring my vision, but then something strange happened. I recognized the building. I knew that street. My brain scrambled to connect the dots until it clicked. That townhouse was mine. I couldn't believe it. My husband's mistress was living in a property I owned. And she didn't even know it. By the way, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'd really love to know. The shock was almost too much to process. Out of all the homes in the city, out of all the women he could have chosen, it had to be one renting from me. I drove home numb, replaying it in my head like some cruel joke. But as the days passed, something inside me shifted. The pain was still there, but it started to harden into something else. Something sharper. I wasn't just Daniel's clueless wife anymore. I had the upper hand. She thought she was sneaking around with my husband in her safe little hideaway, but that hideaway existed because of me. And once that realization sank in, I started thinking about what I could do with it. When I opened the management company's online portal, my hands trembled. I pulled up the lease. And there it was. Her name, Sophia. The woman my husband was sleeping with was officially my tenant. The irony was almost poetic. I stared at her lease agreement for a long time, my mind spinning. Should I confront her? Should I confront him? Should I burn it all down right there? The rage inside me wanted to explode. But another part of me whispered something different. Don't just react. Be smart. Be patient. I logged out that night, my heart pounding, knowing I was standing at the edge of something. The game had changed. I wasn't powerless anymore. And that was just the beginning. The next week, Daniel left again for one of his late-night meetings. I didn't follow him this time. I didn't need to. Instead, I sat at my computer, staring at Sophia's tenant profile. Rent had just been paid on time. Everything neat and tidy. She was the perfect tenant on paper. But I couldn't stop thinking, this woman is smiling in my husband's face while sending me money every month. The audacity of it almost made me laugh. Can you believe that? Because I almost couldn't. I decided to test her. I called the management company and requested a routine landlord inspection. Nothing unusual, just standard procedure. 2 days later, I walked through the very front door my husband had walked through. My heart was pounding so hard I thought she might hear it. Sophia opened the door, bright smile, completely unaware. She was pretty, younger than me, maybe late 20s. The kind of woman who thinks she has time to waste on stolen love affairs. She offered me coffee, like we were old friends. And I smiled back, though inside, I wanted to scream. I looked around my townhouse, noting every little detail. A jacket of Daniel's hung casually on the chair. His cologne lingered in the air. The betrayal was everywhere I turned, mocking me. She had no idea the woman inspecting her kitchen cabinets was the wife of the man she was sleeping with. I kept my cool, though. I thanked her, said everything looked fine, and left. But my mind was racing. I wanted revenge. Not just for me, but for the humiliation. For the way they thought I was blind. So I started small. A notice here. An extra fee there. Suddenly, her rent went up due to market adjustments. Maintenance delays stretched longer. Parking privileges were under review. Every inconvenience funneled directly through me, and she never suspected a thing. Meanwhile, Daniel kept lying. I didn't confront him, not yet. Watching him sneak out, pretending to be clever, almost became entertaining. He thought he was the mastermind, but I held the strings. The breaking point came one Friday night. Daniel was working late. I drove to the townhouse and parked far enough away not to be noticed. Through the window, I saw them, laughing, eating, acting like a happy couple. My hands shook, but I forced myself to stay. I needed the image burned into me, not to cry over, but to fuel me. The next morning, I made the call. I told the management company that I wanted the tenant evicted. Late payments, violation of terms, whatever excuse worked. They processed it quickly, and within weeks, Sophia received her notice to vacate. Daniel had no idea what was happening until the day she called him in tears. He rushed over, panicked, while I sat at home, sipping wine, knowing exactly how the story would play out. By the time he confronted me, it was too late. I showed him the lease, the ownership documents, everything. His face drained of color. "You knew," he stammered. "Oh, Daniel," I said, my voice calm, almost sweet. "I've always known." He realized in that moment that he hadn't just betrayed me, he'd handed me the weapon to destroy his little affair. Sophia was gone within the month. Daniel tried to apologize, begged me to forgive him, but I was done. The trust was broken, and I had no intention of gluing it back together. Looking back now, I don't regret a single move. I didn't scream. I didn't throw dishes. I played the long game. And in the end, I walked away with my dignity intact, while they both lost everything. What would you do if this were you? Would you confront them head-on? Or would you take the quiet revenge route like I did? If you enjoyed this story, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because I have so many more true-life stories to share with you. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. And if you are ready for another dramatic story, click this video right here.